Humans have been compared throughout history as inherent storytellers whose goal has been to spread the different works of literature to future generations for them to analyze and to interpret. All of these different works of literature contained valuable information about current culture. While the term culture has many definitions, one of them is that it is the sum of all forms of the art. Short stories, novels, poems, plays, and all other sorts of writing have been around this planet for as long as anyone can remember. And as mentioned before, all these works of literature contains valuable stories to be told. Today, my generation has the unique opportunity to have access to large quantities of literary work. We have vast libraries scattered throughout the world, but most importantly, we have the internet. That means we can access literature at any time we please. Now, the one particular storyteller I will focus for this presentation is Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, which, for those of you that do not know, is the writer and creator of all of the famous Sherlock Holmes stories. The one particular story I shall analyze for all of you in this presentation is called A Scandal in Bohemia, which talks about a king of Bohemia that faces a big dilemma on his hand and seeks assistance from Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson. The story begins on March 20th, 1888, when Dr. Watson, who has been married for some time now, decides one night to finally pay his old friend and partner in crime, Sherlock Holmes, a friendly visit to see how life has been going. Dr. Watson finally arrives at Holmes' apartment. He springs out of his chair to tell him that he has received a letter from a mysterious character stating that he will be in his house at precisely 8:15 p.m. and that there is an urgent matter that needs to be solved. When the mysterious figure arrives at 8:15 sharp, he reveals himself to be a king from Bohemia. He tells Sherlock Holmes that he has a very important issue that needs to be resolved within a 3 days' time. Many years ago, while the king was simply a young prince, he met a woman named Irene Adler in Warsaw. Lately, he has been writing many love letters to her throughout the years, and she now threatens to use these letters to blackmail him and to ruin his marriage. At first, Holmes simply tells the king that he can just make the case that all of those letters were forged. However, the king tells him that one of the letters contains a photograph, and therefore that photograph needs to be recovered at all costs. Otherwise, his fate is pretty much in our hands. Now, it is important to notice that this story was written in the late 1800s. In history, in England, this time period is known as the Victorian era, which is known as the most prosperous and peaceful moments in all of England's history. During this era, Queen Victoria became the monarch of England at only the age of 18, and there have been many rumors, speculations, and mysteries on just how exactly she managed to accomplish this. Therefore, it is important to see that the symbol and the idea of mystery plays in perfect correlation with the story A Scandal in Bohemia. Therefore, it can be argued that the story reflects the emotions that people were experiencing during the Queen Victorian era. Now, to return to the plot of the story, Sherlock Holmes manages to infiltrate Irene's house by disguising himself as a homeless man who was attacked by criminals. Watson provides a distraction which allows Holmes the opportunity to steal the photographs and run away unharmed. He is actually very pleased that Holmes discovered the photograph, for that is the only thing that Irene could have used to blackmail him. All the other letters were handwritten, and the king could have easily have made the case that they were forged in an attempt to blackmail him, so he is safe. Holmes is, however, very unpleased that he was outwitted by a woman. She did manage to keep all of the other letters, which maybe in the future she could use to blackmail the king. Therefore, Holmes promises in the end that he will get his revenge on her one day. It can be argued that blackmail is one of the themes discussed in the story, for it represents the whole king's dilemma and the whole reason why Sherlock Holmes decided to take on the case in the first place. After telling you folks about this interesting story and giving you a little bit of history lessons on the Victorian era, the problem is that many adults and teenagers in my generation find literature to be a pointless and useless class which no one seems to appreciate. However, that is not the case at all. It is used to reflect the different ideas that individuals were having during that current period of time. Therefore, everyone should take literature very seriously, for it can shed light onto the different ideas that have shaped our culture.